You've probably heard of the Commonwealth, right? Maybe you've caught the Commonwealth Games on TV, or you know the Queen is its head. But what is it really? It's this organization that connects a quarter of the world's countries, but honestly, it's one of the most misunderstood. It's a story of a massive transformation, from an empire built on power to a kind of family built on partnership. So let's break down how that all happened.
So, let me start by asking you a question. Just think about these three countries for a second. Canada, a huge nation in North America. India, a giant in South Asia. And South Africa, way down at the tip of the African continent. I mean, on the surface, they don't seem to have much in common at all, but they do share this deep, really complex history that basically reshaped the modern world.
And the answer is, they're all part of the Commonwealth. It's this unique family of 54 nations, both developed and developing. And what's wild is that it's not built on formal treaties or anything like that. It's built on shared history, language, and culture. But how did this huge, diverse family even get started?
To really get what the Commonwealth is, we have to go back in time, way back, to the days of the British Empire. See, this thing wasn't just created overnight. It was a slow, gradual evolution from colonial rule to a voluntary partnership.
It all kind of started in the 19th century, as some colonies started getting more power to rule themselves. Then, after World War I, these major self-governing colonies, they were called dominions, had given so much to the war effort that you just couldn't see them as beneath Britain anymore. They were recognized as independent states. And then bam, in 1931, the Statute of Westminster made it official, creating something totally new, the British Commonwealth of Nations.
What's pretty striking is just how small this thing was when it started. The original Commonwealth? It was basically an exclusive club with only 7 members. It even included Newfoundland, which later on became a part of Canada. It was a very, very different organization back then for sure.
But, this early version of the Commonwealth, it wasn't built to last. The end of the Second World War kicked off this chain reaction that would force the whole organization to either completely reinvent itself or just fade away forever.
The world was changing, and it was changing fast. You had this wave of independence movements, with India leading the way in 1947. And that meant the old model of a British Commonwealth, tied to the British Crown, just wasn't going to work anymore. The group was facing a serious identity crisis.
The solution they came up with was, well, it was brilliantly simple. It was a change so subtle you could easily miss it. But it was the key that unlocked the Commonwealth's entire future and allowed it to become the diverse group it is today.
Here it is. This was the turning point. They dropped a single word from the official name. It went from the British Commonwealth of Nations to just the Commonwealth of Nations. A tiny little edit, but with absolutely massive implications. Now, this wasn't just about wording. This was a huge deal. Getting rid of the word British signaled a massive shift in thinking. It meant it was no longer a club led by Britain, but a partnership of equals. It was this symbolic move that threw the doors wide open for a truly global membership.
And that new flexibility is what allowed the modern Commonwealth to be born in 1949. The most important part? It meant a country didn't have to have the British monarch as its head of state. It could be a republic like India and still be a full, equal member. Honestly, that decision is what saved the Commonwealth.
But hey, political agreements alone don't hold the family of nations together, right? What really binds the Commonwealth are the deep and sometimes pretty surprising cultural ties that were formed over centuries.
Just think about language for a second. As English spread all over the world, it wasn't just copied, it was adapted. New places, new interactions with local languages, all of it created these unique versions of English, each with its own flavor and rhythm. For instance, take the classic Australian saying, "You'll be right." It means more than just everything will be okay. It's a whole cultural attitude packed into just a few words. And that's just one of thousands of examples of how the language changed and grew. And of course, you absolutely cannot talk about Commonwealth culture without talking about sports. It's one of the most powerful bonds connecting these nations. It creates these friendly rivalries that are followed by millions and millions of people.
2 events really stand out. First, the Commonwealth Games, which people often call the friendly games, held every 4 years. And then there's cricket. Those epic 5-day-long test matches between nations like England, Australia, India, and the West Indies became this huge part of their post-colonial identity. It was a chance to beat the former masters at their own game.
This complicated history, full of all these personal connections and deep tensions, also inspired some of the 20th century's most powerful literature.
It really gave a human voice to the massive changes that were happening. You had authors like E.M. Forster, who wrote about the tragic failures of friendship across the British-Indian divide. Doris Lessing wrote these powerful books about the psychological damage of colonialism in Africa. And Nadine Gordimer, she documented the awful human cost of apartheid in South Africa. Their stories really give us a window into the real lives behind all the history.
So, after all this history, all this evolution and change, what exactly is the Commonwealth here in the 21st century?
Officially, it's defined as a free association, and the key words there are free and chosen. Membership is totally voluntary. It's basically a platform for countries to stay friends and work together on everything from trade and development to democracy and human rights.
And the scale of it today is just staggering. The total population of all the member countries is about 1.7 billion people. That's a colossal network of shared history and language.
To put that into perspective for you, that's almost a third of the entire world's population. 1 out of every 3 people on this planet lives in a country that's part of this unique, loosely connected family of nations.
So all of this brings us to the big question. In a world full of rigid alliances and trading blocs, is the Commonwealth just a relic of an imperial past? Or could this unique family, built on shared culture and voluntary cooperation, actually be a model for the future?